sometimes I'm still scared.
This about to be the greatest story never told. Never told.
This is your shot.
You ain't know, then now you know.
Show all of them
I wasn't welcome, I imposed.
the real
I put this inside her soul.
Jackie Justice.
This about to be the greatest story never told. Never told. If you ain't know, then now you know.
Halle, I want to start with you. I want to actually start from the beginning. I know, I've been seeing you going to UFC fights for a very long time now. So I wanted to ask you first, how did you become an MMA fan? When was it? Why was it? How did that all work out?
Well, I'd been a fan of boxing, English boxing, since I was a kid. The Muhammad Ali's, Frazier, Foreman, Ray Leonard, these were all my heroes as a little girl. Not having a father in the house, boxing was one of my favorite pastimes, watching boxing. So when the UFC, came along and we had fighters like Ronda Rousey and, Gina Carano and Miesha Tate, I became so interested in the sport. I was so enthralled with seeing these women fighting and having such a skill set, and they seemed very much on par with male fighters that I actually saw. So when this script came along, it was already a world that I had loved so much. And this gave me a perfect opportunity to sort of bring to life, a story that just, it grabbed me and just couldn't let me go. And I think it was because of my love of MMA. That's where it started.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. What inspired you to go from fan to actually, making a movie about the sport? What was it about the sport that really connected with you?
Well, I didn't really know that this is the film that I was going to make. When the script came to me, it just so happened that I was a big fan of the sport. So when I read it, I thought, I definitely want to tell this story. I didn't know that I would direct it, but I knew that I wanted to play the fighter because I was so fascinated with fighters. I had so much respect for fighters. I was a gymnast as a kid, and so I knew that I had the physicality to play a fighter if I put my mind to it. So it was what I would often say, it's just sort of that, sort of lucky moment when, a project collided with me, and it was exactly, what I needed because it was where I was personally.
How did you guys spark a friendship? When was the first time you met?
I think it was already on the set, for the training for the first time.
Yeah, that was the first time. Well, I'd been a huge fan of Valentina since I started following the sport, We didn't actually meet face to face until we got into our training camp.
Yes, our training camp, exactly. This is how it exactly looks like. And I was joking that we actually had the full ritual leading to the filming, leading to the fight. We had our weight cut, and I remember that night before we actually have the first day of filming, I was wearing my sauna suit, ready to go to have a run, sweat extra pounds out, and I started to do my workout, and then I saw Halle, she was walking into the gym the same in the sauna suit.
Wait, did you guys actually both cut weight for real for the film?
I did.
Yeah, I did,
yes,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Was that the hardest part? Because cutting weight seems just miserable.
Because yes, if you want to show the real fight, you have to do everything for real, right?
Yeah.
And this is what's the main concept, what the when Halle said what she wants, the real fight, and this is what I said, okay, I have to do everything for real. So no matter what, I knew I had to go through the cut weight to show my best shape, physical shape.
And I had to try to find a shape. I had to find a shape.
Was that just horrible, that weight cut? What was that like?
I would not say it was the same because it's kind of definitely it's a little bit lighter, not that long. For example, it was not last for several months, your diet with no sugar, with no fats or something like that. But definitely it was I would say a week before the filming. It was very strict, pretty strict.
Yeah.
And what about you, Halle?
It was hard for me because I had never done that before, but that was a really big part of me playing this character. I wanted to experience every aspect of being a fighter that I absolutely could. I wanted to understand what it felt like. And being the director of the story, I felt like I needed to understand it. So the weight cut for me was probably a little more real than it was for Valentina. I was preparing like a month and a half before just to get to, you know, a good fight weight where I would look, you know, I was building muscle and trying to lose weight at the same time so that I really could physically look like a real opponent for her. And I remember the day we were actually doing the fight and we had Keith Peterson, you know, a real UFC referee. And I remember the day he came to me and he said, we had performed one of our sequences and Keith said, my God, I thought for a minute I was watching a real Valentina fight. And that's when I knew that, oh my God, all of this training and weight cutting and all this muscle building, everything was all worth it. Because for him to say that, I knew I had achieved at least the goal I set out to achieve, to look like a real fighter.
And Halle, and maybe I can also ask Valentina this too. How did it come together to put Valentina in the movie? Was that your idea, Halle? How did that happen?
Yes, that was absolutely my idea. And I came to the idea quite practically because as I was doing my training, before I knew who I wanted to try to cast for Lady Killer, as I was going through my training, my coaches helped me understand that grappling seemed to be what I was naturally good at. Right, so we decided that we would build the fight around me being a grappler and I needed to find a striker because that would make for a more dynamic fight. So when we looked at who the best striker was in my weight class, but if I were a real fighter, I'd be a flyweight. We thought, who's the best fighter in that weight class? And so right away, who else is there? It's the queen, it's Valentina. So I remember thinking, but I don't know if we can get Valentina. I mean, she's the champion. She doesn't want to come slumming and do a movie. She's the champion. And I finally got my courage and I called Sean Nibb over at the UFC and I said, this is gonna sound crazy, but can you connect me with Valentina? I want to ask her to be in a movie. And to my surprise, she was ready for it. She said yes pretty quickly, and I was very inspired by that and touched by that she was ready to go do a movie at the height of her career.
Actually, when you got a call from Halle Berry inviting you to her movie, it's like there is no options. There is like not a minute for thinking. I didn't think for a minute. I was said definitely yes. There is no other.
And now it seems like you guys are pretty close friends.
And I think it is the best. It's the best part of like working together, training together. For me, I just feel the trainings, they are kind of like make people closer to each other because it's through the training, through the struggles, you understand the soul of your teammate. And I really like appreciate and I really like happy to be part of this project, to be part of Halle's life. And it's like, it's just amazing. It's the best feeling ever.
Ditto. And you know what scares me? I want to be at every one of her fights, and normally I can watch a fight, and I'm for all the fighters. You know, someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. But when Valentina is gonna fight from now until the end of her career, it's gonna be probably when you love someone and you really care about someone so much. Like the last thing I ever want to do is see her hurt. I never want to see her lose. It will always be. One of those situations that I want to see, but I don't want to see, you know, because I just love her too much.
Halle, I want to ask you, I did get a chance to watch the film, and congratulations on the release, of course, coming up. I think one of the best things, no spoilers here, but one of the best things about the movie was, I feel like it really captured just how grueling it was to be, and it is to be an MMA fighter, the training, you know, some of the things that you were doing, it really kind of brought that to life, you know, just how much of a struggle it can be at times. What did you have to do, Halle, to kind of prepare yourself and your body to do all that? Because it seemed like, it didn't look like it was movie magic. It looked like you were really having to do all of these, you know, horrible things to your body, Halle.
I did. It was, like I said, probably 3 years, including the work I did on John Wick. I knew this movie was coming while I was training for John Wick, so I was starting my training process when I started that. So it was changing my diet. It was having 4 or 5 hours in the gym daily, 6 days a week, getting into a really rigorous recovery program so that I could stay healthy, And training with, I mean, I was so lucky. I had some of the best teachers in the world, you know, to come and give me one-on-one instruction. It was such a gift to be able to have that, you know. And then my last leg of my training, to train with Valentina and have her teach me and spar with me and fight with me and, you know, do choreography with me. It was, you know, sort of the icing on the cake, but it was grueling, and I pushed myself farther than I ever thought I could go. And especially at my age, I was really proud of it, because what it says is we can do whatever we set our minds to doing. And I realized through making this movie, so much of fighting is a mental game. You can be in tip-top shape, but it's all about the mental game and emotionally how you're feeling, and that determines what you can and cannot do. And I learned that through this process.
Now, Halle, you had said a few months ago, I believe, in an interview that during one of the fight sequences, during, you know, one of the scenes of the film, Valentina broke your ribs. Can both of you guys please take me through this story? What happened?
Well, here's the thing. It's hard to say when exactly it happened. Because I had broken ribs on John Wick, I know what it feels like to have broken ribs. And at some point on the second day of shooting our 5-day fight, and we started with the fight. So on day 2 of shooting the movie, I had that feeling that something was broken, and I don't exactly know the moment the kick happened or the knee happened or whatever happened in our fighting. I just knew at one point I stood up and I had that feeling and I couldn't breathe. And I remember telling Valentina, I think I broke something, and she says, "No, you did not break anything. This happens to me all the time. You did not know. It's fine, it's fine." But I knew what I knew. I knew that I broke something. But I also knew that I couldn't say anything, because on John Wick, when I said I was hurting, they shut us down for 8 weeks. And I knew that I would lose Valentina in this moment. She'd go on and continue being champ of the world. I might never get her back. I knew I would lose all my funding and my money. And I knew that I would never get to see this, you know, this dream through. So I knew that I had to do what all fighters do. As Valentina told me, when you're in the ring and you get injured, you don't quit, you keep going. You have no choice, but you fight through it. And so I just, in that moment, thought, no way I'm getting shut down. I'm just gonna have to fight through this. So I did.
Valentina, when Halle tells you that she thinks she may have broken something, are you upset? Are you freaking out? I mean, this is an Oscar winner here. You know, this is one of the most famous actresses in the world. And you might have broken a rib.
You know, when, for example, you do it, it was long day of filming. We started from the early morning, 5 a.m. and finishing like by 12, like whole day of doing fight sequences with all the power. It's not kind of like you rest a little bit, then you put some power, some strength, and then rest another minute. No, it's every single take you have to perform the best you can. And definitely everyone is human. They are tired, and we were tired by the end of the day, and injury happened. And you know, like no one, this is like a sport. This is what sportsmen do. They train, they get injured. Definitely it's something that happened. But you know, the most not impressed, but it shows the power, the inner power of Halle as a fighter, of the person, that she's like, whatever. No, I went so far and I never will quit. And I will do it no matter what. And it shows the power, her inner power, and it's amazing. And it was like, you know, like a fresh breeze to the set, and it's like the energy that went through. And at this moment, everyone knew that, yeah, we're gonna do it no matter what, till the end.